Hello everybody and welcome to the Fan Forum. Manchester United 2, Leeds 2. Frustrating game. I'm sure everyone at home feels like it's a loss, the same way we all do in the studio. Actually had a little bit of a tiff off there just before we came on because it's that much of a stressful game, and it's going to be a very heated debate tonight, and there's going to be a lot of different opinions, I can assure you, going around this table. So stay tuned because you might want to get involved in the comments as well, who you agree with, who you disagree with, because we've all got slightly different opinions tonight. But first of all, I'll go down the table. We've got Faz, Kev and Ricky. Faz, coming to you first on this one. We'll go down like that. What do you think was the main reason it went wrong today for Manchester United? Because, yeah, it was a draw, but Leeds were all over us, and it did feel like a little bit of a loss, especially at home with how well they've been. So what would you say was the main factor of what went wrong today? Firstly, when you have a new manager who actually do not know what system he's going to play, you're going to be left in the dark. Yeah. You're going to be left in the question mark. On top of that, you don't actually have your full starting 11 who has been performing week in, week out. Bissaka's out due to potential being ill. You have Casemiro on for his ban. You have Anthony, one of the players that Ten Hag trusts so much. He was out as well today. So the full starting 11 wasn't there. There are players who are having to play a bit out of position, players starting who technically shouldn't be starting just yet. What you saw is when Leeds came out with energy and adrenaline and got the upper hand, it shocked the whole system. It's like shocking your nervous system. That's what happens. Because everybody's like, whoa, we didn't predict this. We didn't predict that Wilfred is going to be pressing like this. We didn't predict the front line of Leeds is going to come out pressing. We predicted that they're going to hold off a little bit because they're going to be fearful of Garnacho and Rashford, and they came to Old Trafford actually not fearing. Whatever Chris Armras and his team have done is inject confidence and said, lads, you have pace, you have energy, you have legs, go and use them, go and use your strengths. And that's what they did straight off the game. And once they got that goal, from then on, you saw they were all over us because the adrenaline that we were supposed to suck out of the game, we didn't, and they pressed their backline forward, they pressed their forwards higher up on the pitch, and they just tried to suffocate us, and it was a shambles from there, really. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I thought Leeds' press was brilliant, I have to say. They came out... One of the best they pressed absolutely excellently, and... You made the same mistake twice. We got caught cold. We were caught cold the whole game, really. We just didn't seem like we were ever fully in control, ever in the game. But, I mean, first half, you let them come out straight on you. You end up conceding early doors. Second half, you do the exact same thing again. It's so frustrating. But, Kev, are you on the same lines as Faz there? What did you think?
Yeah, I think the two main misses, listen, I don't want to make excuses, but it's glaring that Manchester United's squad, the squad depth is not there. I said a few weeks ago on here, Christian Eriksen, the minute he was more or less ruled out for the season, you're missing big time. Now, for Casemiro now to have a 3-match ban, you're taking the centre of your midfield that has been so consistent and everything that has been good about Manchester United. And then we've got to be subjected to... I thought Fred was absolutely awful today.
We'll get
terrible. Listen, a lot of players in that first half today did not do themselves justice. And I think Erik Ten Hag, on reflection and looking back at the game, will probably look and think that maybe he did get it wrong up top. You know, why is Rashford on the opposite side to where he's played his best football this season? You've got Garnacho out on the left who had a couple of chances, maybe a more experienced player. When he rounds the keeper, you've got Weghorst in the middle. I know it's so easy to sit here now and, you know, it's fine lines and stuff, but Weghorst, again, didn't really cover himself in glory.
I mean, he's a Burnley striker. What do we expect, really? What do we expect? He's not of quality. He's not. He's obvious.
That's where I look, and I just think that's where Manchester United are at the minute. You know, with the sale of the club cannot come quick enough. We need some kind of investment. We need investment in the squad, the stadium, absolutely everything. It's glaring when you say we've got a player that couldn't even make it at Burnley starting games at Old Trafford in what was a big game against Leeds. You know, they've turned up. Leeds, in fairness to them, have played really well. I must say, I was like, Faz has just said that they come out from the start of that game, and I was quite taken aback by it. I thought, bloody hell, you know. But when you haven't got that midfield, I'm sorry, when Casemiro and Eriksen are not there, I don't even know an analogy to use, man. It's like taking the two bits of the burger out of a Big Mac. It's not a Big Mac then, is it?
honestly, I'm on the same wavelength with you. I feel like if we had Wan-Bissaka today, because I thought Dalot had a poor performance. I know he got the assist. I thought he had a poor performance though, and that first goal was defended horrendously by him. Also, I think if you put Eriksen and Casemiro, mainly Casemiro, back into that team, even Anthony, people need to appreciate the work he does off the ball. He was a big miss today, I thought. I think
Can
we
you
win
say that again? He wasn't?
No, it was a big miss.
Thank you
It was
very
a big
much.
miss. It was a big miss.
Thank you.
And I think we win that game. I really do. And it's about squad depth here. And Erik ten Hag is doing a brilliant job. We don't just have one draw and we think, oh, he's doing a brilliant job. But he's working with absolute scraps today. I mean, Fred, I can't put into words how bad that performance was. Like, genuinely, it was like giving me flashbacks to when he used to play under Ollie. Like, that's what it felt like, but even worse than that, compared to how well he was playing recently. So, when you see these things start to happen, and the fact that Fred didn't get subbed off today shows how thin that squad is with the injuries. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, and all of you are saying it in the chat as well, but Ricky, you said before we came on here that it's not about who plays. Leeds were really good today. They had the new manager, and we always kind of fall into that new manager bounce, and it's frustrating. It does seem to happen a lot. But personally, for me, if you add them players back into that team, we win that game. I thought you could really tell there was a drop-off.
Before we came live, you were just talking really about Casemiro missing. In fact, when Faz mentioned it live, he omitted to mention that Eriksen's missing, even though he mentioned Casemiro, you mentioned Anthony, you mentioned Wan-Bissaka, and then Eriksen's missing as well. And let's be honest, and nobody's going to like it, but even the first choice replacement's missing is Scott McTominay for the midfield players. I think so. Scott McTominay's played more minutes than Fred so far this season in the league. Maybe Fred might have just overtaken him tonight. There's a great chance McTominay would have played if he'd have been fit. So you're not just missing your first choice players, but you're missing your backup players as well. But as I always say, I've said it numerous times on here, fans always think, what have we done wrong, and never want to give any credit to the opposition. I'm glad Faz opened up with how well they played and how well they pressed. They played really, really well. If we'd have had all our players, one might not have made much difference, whichever one you want to pick. But if we'd have had all our players fit, it might have made a difference. But one thing that you could not prevent, no matter who's playing, you could have Lionel Messi in his pomp, whoever. No matter when you've got a manager who's got you fired up and got you organised and sends you out there, you can't stop them from playing like they played. The same when we played Aston Villa when they had a new manager, and the same problem that Arsenal had when they played Everton. I almost feel like saying there should be a rule in the Premier League that you can't change your manager during the season. I'm deadly serious. When I say I'm serious, it's only a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but the reason it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek is I agree it's fantastic for the team that have got the new manager, but it's slightly unfair on the team who they play against, who are competing with other teams. Not competing with them, but with other teams. If you take Arsenal, for example, got beat by Everton on Saturday. If they hadn't sacked Frank Lampard last week, I doubt very much that would have happened. Now, if they lose the league by a point or two to City at the end, they could easily point, well, we wouldn't have lost it if we wouldn't have played against Everton with a new manager on the day that we played them. We've now played Aston Villa away, and surely coincidentally, by the way, and this is something that gets said in football, there are good games to miss. After we lost at Aston Villa and Casemiro didn't play, people said to me we would have won, and I said, no, we wouldn't. He can't affect how they play. Aston Villa came out like absolutely wild horses on that day, and so did Leeds today in the first half. The new manager gets them fired up. The new manager really wants to show what he can do, and it rubs off on players. And this is what happened at Aston Villa, it's happened to us, and it's also happened to Arsenal on Saturday at Goodison Park. So people don't want to look at the opposition playing well and just think, oh, we missed this player, we would have won if he'd have played.
No,
it is new manager bounce.
You can appreciate there was 100% a new manager bounce, and I thought Leeds pressed brilliantly, and I thought they did it throughout the whole game. They're energetic. They've done that in the past, and they did it today. But I'm telling you now, we would have more chance of winning that game if Casemiro was in that midfield. And I actually think we would have won that game if Casemiro was in that midfield. Because no midfielder, Fred or Sabitzer, can do what Casemiro can do. The way he takes the ball,
they can't do what Eriksen does.
We couldn't play through the midfield.
You're talking about one player. They can't do what Eriksen does. Never mind Casemiro.
Yeah, but
we have
Casemiro's
lots
the
of players
player
missing.
in our team. in my opinion, genuinely. We cannot. How many times did Varane and Martinez just knock it about between them and then have to pass it out wide and we'd get dispossessed? Because there was no one dropping in. Sabitzer was hiding it like McTominay in the first half. I thought he was better. I thought he was better in the second half. And Fred, don't get me started on Fred. I wouldn't want to pass to him if I was on the same team as him today. Because every time he went to a Leeds player.
So what phase of play in the game that you watched would have Casemiro either scored a goal or stopped the goal?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying we would have played better as a team because we would have been able to pass it through the midfield. And he's defensively better than both.
Can I just say this is the same argument that I've just put forward. They pressed us so well and they had so many players swamping our midfield. I'd love to think that it would have made a difference.
Because it was weaker though. Because it was weaker.
Yeah, it is weaker.
They were also targeting Martinez for his height.
And it does make it more difficult, of course it does.
Martinez got better off so many players.
No, Martinez was great, but they were targeting. They target weak spots of your team. I don't think Martinez is a weak spot at all.
They targeted everyone. They targeted Garnacho in the first half. Yeah. They nearly injured the kid. Yeah. They targeted Rashford. They targeted every player.
They were absolutely like men possessed.
Yeah, they were fit. It's like
they were really physical, but two of their players got stretched off.
Yeah, steroids. You have to understand tactically, in a defensive phase, when they've lost the ball, they go straight into a 4-4-2, and then whoever has the ball, instant press, and they press and they back off. The level of energy that they showed, it simply comes down to because they got the goal in 1 minute.
As a player, there are good games to miss, and Villa away was a good game to miss, and that game tonight was a good game to miss. And people will, your reputation blossoms basically because you didn't play tonight.
I think a lot of us were confident going into this game, which we should be. We won 13 on the spin at Old Trafford. But it is a great point about the manager.
I wasn't confident.
They haven't played like that many times this season. No. You know, the intensity.
Can't imagine that they have. You wouldn't expect them to be in a relegation battle.
When did Bamford play like this?
Bamford's a great player.
Yeah, but when did Bamford's been disappearing at times, and he had his own little spell out the squad, and then now he's back and boom, look at this.
And then you could say one of the worst things for us leading into this now double header, because we play him at the weekend, was probably Jesse Marsch getting sacked.
Yeah, I said I wasn't confident. I said it in my fan vlog last week. I said without Casemiro, our midfield will massively struggle, and that's a massive part of the team. And yet you can't say Leeds were always going to win. We were weaker today, and it's because of squad depth. And I'm sorry, Dallow's defensive, the way he was defensively today, I love Dallow. Wan-Bissaka would have been eating that up all game. We missed players today. Anyway, I've got to get through some super chats. Rory C says, as for Eric Ten Hag, when you start Rashford on the right while he's killing it on the left, he gets marked down. I support him, but that was the wrong call. Massively agree. Rashford on the right should have been switched earlier than it was. I have to agree with that. Oh, God, I've just scrolled down because someone's put another one in. Let's see if I can get it back up. Okay, but you're my stepmom, username says, underestimated them, but I love the character we showed to get back in a mental strength and desire to get in the game mentally. We've missed that for years. Let's go to the next one. God, there's so many tonight. Billy Smith, you guys are really underestimating the impact of Casemiro. Our win percentage without Casemiro is under 20% this year, including this loss, 79% with him in the team. Interesting.
That sounds about the same to me. A 20% loss rate and a 79% win rate sounds exactly the same to me.
He's highly influential.
He's highly influential.
Casemiro. But you've seen, you could play Fred with him. And, he could talk him through again.
I actually want to applaud Casemiro for making Fred look good. Like, I've been saying Fred's been great this season. Today, it's no coincidence he falls off a cliff. I get Leeds were good. But come on. It's Leeds at the end of the day.
I remember telling here on the last fan forum when he got the red card that the 6 of our team needs to babysit the 8, if you remember. I said, in a double pivot with Sabitzer and Fred, it ain't going to look good. Because when you play a 4-2-3-1 and you expect Fred to do a certain job and you give him 50% of your role so that you are not hiding, Fred goes crazy. He don't know what to do. He starts fumbling. Both of his feet are like left foot. He can't control the ball. He can't pass the ball. What Casemiro does is calms everything down and gives Fred that reassurance that if Casemiro has the ball, maybe he can even make the pass. I won't have to make the pass. You saw Fred, what he tried to do today is try to take the game forward and tried to make the passes, tried to find passes, tried to beat a player, tried to challenge a player, none of which he can do well.
And he's not good enough to do it.
None of which he can do well. All of which that Casemiro is much better at. All of which we expect Sabitzer to do, but it's his first game to start.
Oh, no, yeah, like, I'm not... We'll get into it more in a second, but with Sabitzer, I'm not saying he was awful. He's just, he can never live up to Casemiro because he's not that type of player. He should be playing next to Casemiro. James Manning said, 100% agree with Beth, we couldn't get the ball away from our defence. Giovanni Ellis is very lazy saying that Weghorst... Oh, that's just clicked off.
Oh, go on, I like the sound of this one.
It just keeps all going off because there's so many chats coming in. Very lazy take saying Weghorst is just a Burnley player. When he came off, Dallo all of a sudden wanted to cross short to Garnacho.
Now they can I come in on that? I'd like to come in on that.
Come in on it.
I could not believe my eyes that we took Weghorst off, and I counted them, and I might be out by a minute or two, but I reckon 4 decent crosses came in. 4 crosses came into the box. 3 of them were decent. I would say in the next 4 minutes, literally, it might have been 5 minutes. One of which was Rashford's headed goal, which he took really well, fair enough. But Weghorst will be sat on the bench thinking, why am I sitting here now when they're putting these balls into the box? I mentioned last week about Weghorst getting switched for Rashford, and then they got twice it's happened, once against Palace, once against City, where we've then got balls across the face of the box. Weghorst keeps getting taken off, and I can't remember who mentioned it. I think you all said briefly that Weghorst's not up to it. I'm not saying he's a Man United player. I'm not saying we're going to go and win the league and the European Cup with Weghorst playing at centre forward. What I am saying is I feel sorry for the lad.
Yeah, I agree.
If that lad is playing when we're putting them balls in the box, he will probably score some goals. And we suddenly start. Now, it's not a coincidence, I said this the other day, when we've got Rashford on the left wing, he's rarely looking to put the ball in the box. So when you move him, you then put in a player in, like Sancho, on Palestri on the other side. I thought Palestri did all right as well.
So do I.
They're trying, and along with the full-backs, they're trying to put balls in the box. We're putting balls in the box after he's been taken off, and we're putting a winger at centre forward. And fair play to Rashford, he took his goal great. You know, from 2-0 down, let's be fair here, by the way, from 2-0 down, I think you've got to say the manager didn't do anything wrong. You know, you're going to take... You desperately want to win it, of course you do. But at 2-0 down with, half an hour to go, 32 minutes to go, you'd probably take a 2-2 draw. So the manager didn't do anything wrong, and probably a lot of people in the chats might say, what are you talking about, Rick? We did that change and we pulled it back to 2-2. I just feel sorry for Weghorst that we tend to create more... And it's not because of the striker, by the way. I know a striker can link the play up well and it helps to create chances, but the chances are being created by the wingers and the full-backs playing well together. But Weghorst is being taken off when we change him for the wingers, for crossing-style wingers. He wants to grow up, the manager, I think, at times, and think, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give Weghorst a chance with the crossing wingers.
Can I just say as well, when you've got, you always say this, some of the wingers in the team, they're not creators. So Rashford is not a creator. He wants to score the goal himself. So him being on the right, that's 50% of the crosses gone. Because you're not going to get it. Garnacho, as much as he's a creator, today they were on him. They wanted to. At times I thought they were going to injure this kid.
Yeah, Luke Ayling was absolutely fantastic, by the way. Again, like I've said at the start, we don't give enough credit to. It's always our player did this, our player did that, our player should have done better. Luke Ayling was absolutely stupendous.
The first thing you saw with Sancho coming on and Palestri coming on is they instantly allowed fullbacks to overlap. Luke Shaw overlapping and then trying to find, the cross, which eventually got Sancho's goal. You saw Palestri again, your right-footed, right winger who can cross the ball. Dallo step over cross. All of the crosses opened up. What now? The question is do you keep Wout on and take Rashford off? That would have been a big ballsy decision to make. Is Wout that much clinical enough to take those chances? That's a conversation to have. But yes, the chances did come after the subs got made because the subs that got made allow the fullbacks to overlap, allow the fullbacks to cross. It's like the Luke Shaw cross that he made to Bruno late in the second half. I thought that was going to go in, but it didn't. It should have gone in. But that's what happens. I want to see this type of crosses a bit more, but it's what comes with Rashford. He doesn't cross, and neither does Anthony, to be honest.
I absolutely have to say, you're spot on with that. I thought he played much better with Palestri and Sancho on. Sancho was brilliant, but Palestri as well on the right wing helped Dallo out so much more. And it was a pity that Weghorst in the box. Palestri should be getting more time out on that right-hand side. I tell you that for a fact.
He played well.
And I hope, like you said, I hope the manager does see it, because it's no coincidence we create more chances when you change that. When you have 3 players up front that are all wanting to score, is their first immediate reaction, you aren't going to be getting balls into the box often, and it was frustrating, and that's something that you can look at in hindsight as the manager and think about. Got a few more super chats in. Thato says Beth is only spitting facts. Thank you very much for that. LJ, you've not put anything, but thank you for the super chat. What's his face says Kev Van Cam, much love out there for Kev. And then we have JB79, did anyone notice that Leeds used 6 subs? Shouldn't that be looked at? One was concussion. One was concussion, which is why. And thank you, G Music, for your super chat. But thank you very much, but I won't read it out. Anyway, let's move on.
Just on Palestri, I mean, it was only a few weeks ago we were kind of debating, does he need to go out on loan to get more game time? And I remember sitting here at that stage and thinking, can we afford to let him go on loan? You know, he's a player that could get into this team. He's going to create stuff, something different. Again, it does come down to squad depth, doesn't it? With a couple of injuries. A lot of people say about Arsenal at the minute, if they're hit with injuries to key players, you know, we'll see what they're made of. And at Manchester United at the minute, I just think injuries have hampered us. But again, I don't want to use it as an excuse. Like I say, I think we've all can agree that Leeds kind of took us slightly by surprise this evening.
We'll talk about Sabitzer, actually, our new signing, because I don't want to come off like I'm hating on Sabitzer, because I thought he was decent, but Fred Flintstone says Sabitzer didn't hide Beth. Leeds blocked every passing line through the middle. If he dropped deeper, he would have been between the centre backs. Leeds did a brilliant job on this, but a midfielder like Casemiro, who was at the elite level, I think would have figured out a way to kind of move himself in different positions. He's so intelligent and he reads the game so well that I think he would have been more dominant. I thought he's also unfair on Sabitzer because he's not a number 6 and he was playing that role, but he did show some quality. Kev, what did you think of Sabitzer?
I thought he did all right, considering it was his first start for Manchester United. And let's not beat around the bush, man. He's got a massive task of coming in and trying to recreate what Casemiro and Eriksen have been doing in this midfield. So I think it's harsh if there is anyone in the comments that are saying, what's he all about? He didn't do much. I thought he did all right.
I bet he was astonished how poor Fred was playing next to him.
But again, that's what you have to kind of judge it off, you know, when you're looking at things like this. We said it about Eriksen when he played with McTominay at the Emirates. We missed Casemiro big time that game, and I felt like Eriksen did so much running. We knew he probably needed a rest at that stage, but we couldn't rest him, and you're not gonna in your bigger games.
I bet he thought, well, I'm not in Bayern Munich anymore with Kimmich next to me. Jesus, Nora, he's dealing with Fred. He thinks, what's going on here? He's like, how are these third in the Premier League with Fred playing next to me? I'm sorry, I don't want to go too harsh. This super chat says, I don't know why everyone is hating on Fred. He has never been world class. In the game against City, everyone was praising him for marking and making KDB invisible for 90 minutes. He has his strengths, he has his weaknesses. Today, he was horrendous. I mean, Ricky, you've been praising Fred a little bit recently. Thoughts on Fred and Sabitzer together? Thoughts on Fred, thoughts on Sabitzer, midfield opinions?
I agree with Kev. I think Sabitzer did perfectly fine. Lots of really sharp passes. You see instant passing when the ball comes to him. He got dispossessed once in the first half on the halfway line, but I liked his tackling. I like the sharpness of his thinking. He put somebody through down the left. I can't remember if it was Shaw or Rashford, but in the second half, he just played the ball straight in between the right back and the centre back. He did a lot of good things. He looks a smart player. So I was happy with Sabitzer. But as we've just said, he must have been looking at Fred and thinking, what on earth is going on here? Who am I playing with? I mean, I know I've been complimentary of Fred recently, and he's played better than I ever thought imaginable. But tonight, he was as bad, if not worse than ever. Just ridiculous how poor he was. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, Faz, you said you like Sabitzer. He did make some sharp passes. He's quick as well, which I quite like. He's very, very tenacious. What did you make of him? And do you think he'll be better when he's in that box-to-box role rather than the holding 6?
Yeah, firstly, he has to understand the tactical side of Ten Hag's game. he's not really had that much time. I think after the first goal went in, a couple of minutes later, there was some incident where I think one of the Leeds players went down for a while, and Ten Hag instantly brought him over and had a long conversation with him. The seat that I'm sat, I get to watch all of this happen, and he's telling him, the positioning where he wants to be. He's trying to make him understand that during a game, certain things you have to anticipate. You probably don't have a lot of footage on Leeds, considering they've got a new manager, right? You don't know what tactically they're going to set out. So he's having to explain that whilst he's got a brand new player who doesn't know anything about Manchester United style of football or Ten Hag football, right? So for me, he's done really, really well. There are so many positives to take. His shooting is astonishing. If imagine Casemiro
shot in the first half. Yeah, it looks like he's got a goal in it.
Two shots, yeah. One of them, he made the keeper really stretch.
Yeah.
Which I thought was going to.
Foot as well,
yeah, with his left foot, which is his.
Both footed, isn't he?
Yeah, both footed. You can't tell which one is weak or which one is strong. His long distance passing, his eye for a pass, really good. His aggression on the ball, really good. Again, you match that with a Casemiro, fantastic in that midfield. He loses the ball. When he lost the ball, he's running full spell, and he can catch up to a player as well. There's lots of positives to make. My only thing is, of course, in a double pivot, in a situation like this, when you're playing with Fred, you must have good partnership with who you can rely on. Because if you're getting caught, Casemiro's the type of person who would come and rescue you. But Fred is not the type of person who's going to rescue you. And as much as we can gun Fred down, let's be honest, we've said in numerous occasions, let's get Fred started. Let's start Fred.
Casemiro.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to what I call patience. Right? And let's not, something that Ricky has in abundance with Marcel, let's not start Fred this often, because this is what happens when he's in deep waters. He doesn't know how to stay afloat. In games like this, you must stay afloat. I think our forward players that came on literally rescued us a point, because we're lucky that it was actually 2-0 and not 3 at times. Martinez, it nearly gave away a penalty. My heart was in my mouth. I thought it's going to be a penalty. We're actually very lucky.
I have to say, absolutely, I really want to see Casemiro and Sabitzer in that midfield. I think they'd be great together. It must have been hard for him going into that game today. And Maz says, Sancho, Plestri and Weghorst front three for the cup final changed my mind. Don't get Ricky too excited. Eriksen has missed with his passes between the lines in the front four. Oh, he's massively missed, but I'm sorry, to not even think about starting Rashford in a cup final is absolutely criminal. Anyway,
she's fishing, Ricky. She's fishing.
Let's move on to, we've actually going to have some quotes coming in from Ten Hag, but while I find them, Kev, I'll come to you on this one. It did seem like today Varane and Martinez couldn't get the ball through the midfield. It was very slow at the back, I thought. I felt sorry for them because he didn't seem to be anyone showing for the ball. Do you think it was kind of, sometimes you have to just adapt your game midway through the game, or do you think it was the fact that we wanted to stick with the game plan that we always go for, which is playing out from the back? I thought at times we could have maybe chose a different option.
Yeah, you certainly got to try and mix it up, but again, at the risk of repeating myself, I think once you're missing your Casemiro and Eriksen that we've been used to, and trying to play through that midfield, everything kind of breaks down. Casemiro, I don't think for 1 minute any Man United fans kind of take him for granted, but if there's anything that you should look at recently is just how much that man is missed when he's not at United. He is the safety blanket, and to play in that team, the spine of your team, which we've had this season and been very successful with up to now, to take that out, I just think you're kind of missing the centre of the park. And for Varane and Martinez, you must look and think, all right, Sabitzer's just come in today, don't know too much about him, it's his first start at Manchester United. And at the same time, yes, they know Fred very well, but deep down they must know his limitations and think that he's not the kind of driving force in the midfield that's going to be able to drive through and drive you up the pitch. I just don't think he's capable of that.
And don't forget Armas, who is in charge today, knows the whole United squad. He knows strengths and weaknesses as well, which is another benefiting factor.
At the same time, like you said, that's where you mix it up, isn't it?
I would have given. Well, we'll get on to our man of the matches actually towards the end. But we would have got some quotes in from Erik ten Hag that we can just kind of dissect before we move on to some of the positives, because there were a couple of positives in this game. And he says, Erik ten Hag, you can say we won a point because when you're in the derby and come back from 2-0 down, it's good. But on the other hand, when you start a derby like we did, it's unacceptable. You have to be ready to fight, and we weren't ready for the battle. It was my first remark at half-time to take care and make sure we were ready. and we weren't, so it was really disappointing after the first half to concede that goal again. Of course, it will encourage us when we play the second game in a couple of days that if we play our game, we can beat them. We have to beat them, but you need composure all the time. In the last 20 minutes, when it was 2-2, we created so many chances, but the finishing was not always that good. We need to be more clinical. And then when he was asked about Marcus Rashford playing centrally again next game, he said, first of all, we will analyse and reflect, then we will see how the team is picked on the starting 11. Got a couple more quotes on Sancho, but we'll get into that at first. Ricky, what are your thoughts on what Erik ten Hag's saying there?
On which bit? There's quite a bit there.
Yeah, about the fact he believes we can beat them at Elland Road. I mean, he's not going to say we can't.
He's going to say that.
He's not going to say we can't, but also about how he was disappointed about the lack of composure and the lack of
There's
clinical
a lack of
finishing
composure,
as well.
definitely. I mean, I know I don't want to just got sort of steam into Fred, but he had a couple of shots near the end that were just powder puffed, didn't he? Keeper saved one. It was like a back pass, the one that was going to his right. Yeah. Then there was one in the box. It was brilliant by Sancho again and laid it back to him.
I agree. It was a horrible shot.
I don't know what it is. He can't kick the ball. My 8-year-old grandson who I go watching play can kick it just as hard as that.
I looked at that and I was like, that is the last person you would want the ball to fall to in that situation on that pitch. But he found himself there, didn't he? But my God.
Yeah, we're definitely capable of beating him. It's how's he going to go? Maybe you might want to talk about this in a bit. I don't know, but how's he going to go about it? You know, what's his lineup going to be? Is he going to change it? Is he going to keep Fred in? I think he's one of them managers who likes to think that, you know, I'll show you type of thing. And Fred has played well for us recently. Maybe he'll just keep him in, but. You know, if it just comes today and well, what other options is there? Is McTominay nearly fit? I don't know what's been wrong with McTominay. Where's he been? Obviously, we can't play Casemiro. I'd certainly try. I also think Sabitzer, because Fred's obviously left-footed. I know Sabitzer can use either, but Fred's obviously left-footed. I wouldn't mind seeing that axis of McTominay slightly right and Sabitzer slightly left and leave Fred out. If McTominay's fit to play, I don't know if he is, obviously. Could we even play, he's used him now only for 10 or 15 minutes at a time, but he's used Lindelof twice there. Could he play Lindelof slightly right and Sabitzer slightly left? I know that Faz shook his head the other night, but again, he's done it for 15 minutes, something that you will try even for 15 minutes in a game. A manager might think, well, you know what, it went all right. I think we'll try it from the start.
I was about to say, I actually thought Lindelof was good when he came on.
I thought he played well. Look, if you can play the game, it's one of the easiest positions to play, holding midfield. You've not got to go bombing about all over. You've got your defenders talking to you. You want to try and, as they're moving up the field in a 4, you want to try and stay 10 yards in front. And obviously, if they break down that side, you've got to get that way. If they break in that way, you've got to get that way. It's not a difficult position to play if you're intelligent. And Lindelof's an intelligent player. Now, obviously, he's not going to give us electric pace pouring into the box, but there was a few times we had the ball around their box and he showed cute little feet and little passes.
Yeah,
I mean, Lindelof might do okay there if he wants to try him there.
He did. I mean, DC says Fred gave the ball away 25 plus times, unacceptable. And Giovanni says, Fred is the midfielder we have if you think about it. Sabitzer just came to the team, so no chemistry. Bruno was being Bruno, so Fred was the only player who knew his role and we was covering a lot of ground. We also have one from FJ saying, we really miss Casemiro. We're missing an outlet to play through in the midfield. Every time Fred gets the ball, he gets pressed off it by Leeds' midfield. And International says, not fair on Fred or Sabitzer, as none of them are natural DMs. Zidane's father says Sabitzer is good with the ball, but his positioning for receiving the starting play was poor. I agree with that. And Cameron says how Sabitzer got subbed off before Fred was astonishing. I know Fred stitched Sabitzer up with the yellow card, but even so, yep, I have to
agree
was another thing.
On that. I mean, Fred, I just spoke about Fred's shooting, but a couple of times just inside his own half. I think Dalot gave him a ball and he passed it straight to one of theirs inside the circle. There was another one that he gave away. I'm sure again it was inside the circle. Was that the one that you're talking about where Sabitzer had to make a challenge and got a yellow card? You know, Fred put his teammates in trouble on numerous occasions.
I mean,
it's stuff we've said about Fred before, isn't it? That really is the basics of football. If you're stood over there and I try and pass a ball to you and I pass it to Faz and he's on the opposition team, that is the basics of football, just being able to pass a ball left and right for the position that he plays.
What happens is if everybody's switched on in an attacking phase and everybody's ready to attack and you make a very detrimental error where you give the ball away, instantly everybody has to now go in a defensive phase, right? You don't have time to think about going in. Now, when you've gone in a defensive phase, in the first half, what you saw is numerous occasions they're open on, literally through. You had Varane save us numerous times. You had Martinez with absolutely astonishing challenges trying to save us. You had Dalot trying to do his bit, and he, to me, seemed a bit off as well because he's only his first game Understandable, right? You saw Luke Shaw trying to save us. But this is what happens when you lose the ball in those areas. You cannot afford to lose the ball in those areas. You can see as well the hesitation from the back line giving the ball to Fred. They won't give it to him because he's not. Varane would much rather drop a shoulder on a player and carry the ball than give it to Fred, because I'm sat there looking Fred wide open, yet they will not give it because Thingy said it, Watford striker, I forgot his name, Troy Deeney said it, that
was the trigger.
Have triggers. Fred is the number one trigger.
You do not often hear a professional footballer calling out.
Yep.
They're not colleagues in as much as they play together, but they're professional footballers.
Yeah.
A fellow footballer. And for him to go on while he was still playing and to say that's what we did. Every time they passed the ball to Fred, we went for it.
Yep.
And you don't go. Isn't it?
Was it telling?
But you don't just press. The thing is, you don't just press him. Everybody else closes distance between them
because
and
the pass that even if you don't take it off Fred, his pass might not be good enough. So you press everybody.
Yeah. That's right.
That's
right. And that's what we saw, and that's why it may seem like Sabitzer's lost in the pitch. Because let's be honest, it's his first time playing full-time minutes or starting minutes in Old Trafford. The poor guy isn't even going to know who am I supposed to. What am I doing here?
Yeah,
Can David De Gea distribute the ball to me, which he again failed to do numerous times today. I'm not even going to get into that. But look, we know Fred is not a starting player. We know Sabitzer is not a starting player just yet. But I must point fingers at Bruno. I must, because he is a captain and he plays week in, week out. And where was the creativity from him today? Where was it? Name me a phase of play. Tell me a phase of play. Tell me an occurrence where you saw Bruno make a chance. When you saw Bruno open up a chance, other than that cross, that one cross for
Venom.
What was it?
And that cross to Rashford that he should have scored.
I don't. That
was the free kick.
That is not good enough on all game. That is not good enough.
Still created it.
He needs to do more. That's okay. Two things. Wow. David De Gea makes two, three saves.
What did anybody else create apart from Sancho?
There was too many players that were.
He is the captain.
I agree, but I also think it's another player that's shell shot from Casemiro behind him.
Is that good enough to see him out?
But no one was good today.
Right.
He didn't stand out as being a poor player.
So what are you going to mark Bruno then?
I would probably give him a 5.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But I wouldn't give anyone on the pitch higher than a 5 apart from Shaw, Martinez and Varane.
Yeah, but
and Sancho.
That's fair. That's what I'm trying to say. Is okay, other people were not that great, sure. Rashford lost the ball numerous times. Garnacho couldn't be as direct as we wanted. They kept losing the ball. In hindsight, Anthony might have not lost the ball. He would have probably kept the ball a bit more, which would have helped us be higher up on the pitch. But Bruno Fernandes, yet again, goes up random places in the pitch, and he doesn't stick to his position. Just this particular game. Previous games, really good.
I was going to say, I was just ready to say that.
Yeah, very surprised.
It has been
today,
good
I don't know what
previous
happened.
to this. Yeah.
I think the first minute punch from Leeds really took it out of him, and his game just got put off.
I thought he was at fault for the first goal, to be honest.
I also
thought, if I speak about, thank you.
I also, I agree with that. I think the defending for the first goal and the second goal was absolutely woeful from everyone that was doing it. And I also do think defensively he helped out quite a bit more than what people would give credit for as well. But I mean, it's tough. I thought the whole team was very poor today. I do have to say, apart from a few certain players. But I mean, Erik ten Hag said that his team lost his battles. He said you have to take responsibility. If you win those individual battles, you will win this game. Do you agree with them on that? Because one other thing, I don't want to just keep going on Fred, but I'm going to have to. How many free kicks did he give away as well? How many free kicks? In dangerous positions. If that free kick goes in, which, by the way, Fred is prone to giving them. How many against Southampton has he done for us and Ward-Prowse put in the back of the net? Hits the post. We're so lucky. So don't foul in them areas. It's just, sometimes it's such naivety, I feel like, as well.
I think first and foremost, the ref was diabolical. Again, I hate blaming refs, but it was so bad. The amount of challenges that the Leeds players made on us, and he didn't give it us. I was surprised, very surprised. Fred, sure, you can blame him for his tackles and whatever, but one thing I saw Ten Hag do in the second half is Sancho got tackled in the second half, and Sancho was on the floor, and Ten Hag literally went ballistic at his players and said, "Get up! This is a derby. Act like it. Stop fiddling about, stop dwelling about." And that's when you saw Luke Shaw push a couple players. That's when you saw a bit of aggression. You need, as I like to call it, venom in these games. You need the manager to inject some venom into you. And that's when you go out and show them.
Sorry, this was a good point as well. Bruno put some really good passes through to Garnacho that he should have scored first half.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair, but in all honesty, in the position that he plays, he needs to be creative. He needs to open up passing lanes. On the ball, can Bruno Fernandes carry the ball? No. That's plain and simple. No, he can't.
I think he can.
He had his ball in our own half, and he decided to hoof the ball 25, 35 yards.
Because he's got no one to come in and helping him.
But he had
a pass option. No one was giving him a pass option.
I'll tell you
one. You don't need a pass option. Carry the ball 20 yards.
In the second half.
When Varane was in the corner, no one came to help him out.
You have space. Walk with it. Walk with it a bit more.
In the second half, Bruno got the ball in a right-back area, probably 20 yards inside our half, maybe 10 yards in from the touchline, and Palestri was in an ocean of space running down this wing. Just knock it in front of Palestri, and he played it across the field. 5 minutes later, Palestri is here with a defender on him, and Bruno gets the ball, and this time he tries to pass it to him. And the defender gets the ball.
Thank you very much.
He should have passed it to him.
This is what I mean.
He should have passed it to him when he didn't pass it to him.
This is what I mean.
And he shouldn't have passed it to him when he did.
Decision making for a player who plays who plays an attacking midfielder must be of the highest level.
But I'm not backing you up here in that it was horrendous. It's just something that's come to my mind. I don't think Bruno was that bad today, but I also don't think he was good. But there's a couple of things that do need that. And his dead ball kicking, is the free kick that he took that doesn't come higher than this. That's horrendous. At that level of football, honestly, it's horrendous.
That's been a criticism of Marcus Rashford.
Yeah,
we've been on here before. We've said the final decision making and process. Yes, the goals have come recently, but we have sat here and said, is he world class? I don't think he walks into any team in the world.
I don't want to start scapegoating players because I 100%...
You've already scapegoated Fred.
Apart from Fred today, I thought the whole team was just poor. I don't think anyone stood out as being horrendous.
Shaw was fantastic.
Yeah, that's
Luke
what I
Shaw
mean.
was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
You've got my man of the match.
If you went on reflection of the first half...
There was a couple of players, and 100% Rashford could do more with the ball. But at the end of the day, he's carrying us with his goals at the minute. He's the only one scoring most of the time.
I was going to say that if you take them out of the team...
That header was great. It was a great header.
Literally, if you...
It was a great header, but don't forget...
How scared were Leeds of him getting behind?
Don't forget, like I said, it was a great goal. He scored a goal at the weekend from a ball into the box. For some reason, we tend to be getting these balls to him, which we should be getting balls like that to Weghorst while he's on the pitch. It's not... I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm decrying Rashford. I don't know how to put it, but that's where your centre-forward's got to be standing.
Correct.
I can't imagine Weghorst to be standing anywhere else.
Right.
I can't imagine if we still had Igalo, he'd be standing there. Now, of course, Rashford took it great, so maybe one of them would have missed it, or maybe the keeper would have saved it. That can happen. So what the manager did, it worked. But all I'm saying is we're putting decent balls into the box that any centre-forward should be at least in the right position. Now, whether you score it or not, that's another kettle of fish. And he's standing there in the right position, so surely Weghorst would be standing there in the right position when them balls are coming into the box. But they don't seem to be coming into the box when he's on the field. Another part of that might be, by the way, don't forget this bit, and this is something I haven't touched on. Maybe it's not just because we're bringing players on who like to try and create and who like to try and cross, but maybe that starts to happen when you're really chasing it and you're desperate to score.
Yeah.
You know, we're desperate to score at 2-0. We're desperate to score at 2-1. So probably you're going to throw more balls into the box. So we're throwing balls into the box after we've taken him off. So don't assume that if he wasn't there, that we wouldn't be scoring. It's not how football works.
This has been a criticism of Manchester United for seasons. How many times have we said, even when Haaland went to City, and we were discussing...
City are not scoring any more goals now.
Yeah, but
City
people
are
are
scoring.
even saying...
I work this out every time they play. City are actually scoring. It's ever so slight, but they're scoring slightly less goals than they were scored last season in every league game. Now then, when we left Ronaldo, everybody said to me, we'll score less goals. I think you said it to me.
I didn't.
Lots of people said we're going to miss Ronaldo.
I was on the rid of getting Ronaldo out.
Well, you know, lots of people, but I've even seen top pundits say it. I think I've seen Paul Scholes say it. I've definitely seen Graham Souness say it. How are they going to score goals if they lose Ronaldo? Well, again, it's only ever so slight, but we're scoring slightly more goals per game now since Ronaldo left. You need to trust me on this. If Marcus Rashford doesn't, we're averaging, I work it out every game. Don't know what it is exactly at the top of my head, but we're scoring about 1.6, and I would bet you £1,000 that if Marcus Rashford doesn't kick another ball for us all season, we will still average 1.6 goals.
Not a chance on this earth, Ricky.
Well, people said that about Ronaldo,
I don't care.
and people are saying that about Haaland.
Rashford's a different type of player. He is a perfect player for our team. I'm telling you now, his pace to getting behind. Remember at Wolves when he came on, how he changed the game.
Beth, you're talking about one player.
I'm telling you now,
scoring goals. We'll score goals in a different manner.
Not as many.
1.6 a game? How often do Manchester United score less than 1.6 goals a game in a season? It's not very often.
Apart from Sancho today, I didn't think anyone in the pitch was going to score apart from Rashford. He's the only one a lot of the time that looks like he's going to score goals.
Well, I can't explain it to you, can I? I can't explain.
I get what you're saying in terms of...
If he never kicks a ball again for Manchester United in the rest of his life, for the next 5 seasons, we will still average one. It's only about 58 goals a season.
I'm talking about this season.
Well, okay, this season we will score 1.6 goals.
Well, touch wood, Marcus Rashford doesn't get.
I don't agree.
The only way we'll find out.
For this season, I do not agree. It's been massively important for us. It's the same way when Casemiro drops out the team.
That's how fans look at it, Beth. That's how fans look at it. Fans were looking at it like that when Ronaldo was playing. Trust me.
It is.
That's how people were looking at it when Ronaldo was playing.
The factual thing is, you're right and she's right. But also, when Ronaldo wasn't scoring, it wasn't helping his argument. But now Rashford is scoring, so it helps his argument. Does Rashford get goals?
Do you want him to just sit there and not score? It's been brilliant. I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Yeah, okay. You may think we may score goals in another way, which is fair.
Hey, I'm not saying for 1 minute. Drop Marcus Rashford. What I'm saying is, when we're mixing it up, and for half an hour in the game, he's still playing, and we're now throwing more balls into the box. Defenders are getting tired. We're pushing. We're trying harder. He just happens to be the person who's playing during that period. That's all it is.
There's a
so
reason.
Would that be the time to bring Weghorst on?
I'm sorry. There's a reason why Rashford has scored nearly in every game since the World Cup, and Weghorst has scored 1 goal for United. There's a reason. Rashford's a better player. It's not because Rashford's playing the last 20 minutes. It's not because of that. It's because Rashford's more of a goal threat. I'm telling you, there's no coincidence why Rashford scored so many goals.
The team, Beth. You're still talking about an individual.
Rashford's better for the team because he scores goals for the team.
But the team will still score 1.6 goals
in another way.
Yeah, different players will score.
His argument is either Sancho gets the goals, either Wout gets the goals, either Garnacho, either someone else is going to. But we will still get 1.6. That's his argument.
I get that argument. I don't agree.
And I get it. You just have to meet halfway, which is we need Rashford. But if Rashford wasn't here, are we going to? Well, we have missed Rashford in certain games, and we have to bring him on. So
I had to make. Lots of people said to me at the start of the season, imagine how many goals City are going to score now that they've got Haaland. Haaland's got 25 goals in the league.
Haaland's a different player to Rashford.
Well, what difference does it make? He scored 25 goals for City. Rashford scored 15 for us in the league, and if that.
Haaland's a poacher that sits in the box and needs balls to him to score goals, and he's that type of striker that's kind of going to stay in the box. He's a penalty box striker. Rashford is a winger that can beat people for pace, can take people on, and can create great individual goals. And as well, he actually has a great number of assists this season. He's contributing a lot.
He was really anyway, on goal as well, and that should have been a red card in my opinion.
Yeah, it should have been. I've got to move on. A few super chats, then we'll talk about Sancho. Rahul Gupta says, disagree, Faz. Bruno made many chances, but no one took them. We've also got a super chat from Rory C. It says, whether we were looking up at the table before, certainly it's time to start looking over our shoulder now. I don't think it's time to get too negative, guys. I mean, it's a draw at home to Leeds. It's disappointing, but I still think Man United are on the right track for sure. And we also have one here saying Faz needs to cut Bruno some slack, and
the protection around Bruno Fernandes is unbelievable. Well, rightly so. He does well for the team, but just today's game, I personally think he wasn't as good as
we're here to react. That opinion.
We're here to react to today's game.
People can have their opinions. Bruno wasn't as good today. He wasn't as good. But
you say anything or you raise an eyebrow, that means you've got pointing a gun at Bruno's head. That's what people look at us.
I mean, people thought that when I was saying about Sabitzer. It's just, it's different people. It's different people's opinions. Anyway, let's move on to Jadon Sancho, because that is the shining light. God, this has been
he scored a brilliant goal.
It's been a fun show today. He scored a brilliant goal, and he was brilliant when he came on. Erik ten Hag actually said on Sancho's impact, I'm very happy for him. Of course, for the team, because it's all about that. We will encourage him and we will motivate him, but he's going in the right direction. If he can continue this process, he can do it more and hopefully achieve our goals. He was happy with Sancho. I think we're all happy with Sancho. Faz, we'll start with you. Jadon Sancho, you happy to see him back, starting to cook?
Yeah, I am. Whatever he's cooked, it smells nice, it tastes nice, but I'm still gonna say that he needs to finish a full 90 minutes. I was on this from August, I believe, when he was being subbed off, 58 minute, 60 odd minute, and I'm thinking, what's going on here with the fitness level? This should not be how a player is functioning, considering the level of preseason he's had. Now he's been out of the team, he's come back. I need him to start playing, and I need him to start playing 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, like that. And he did really well. In all honesty, close control. He had players doubling up on him. He beat them with confidence. The goal as well, a lot of confidence to get that shot across. Really good shot as well. And let's be honest, once he came on is really when the game started for us. Before then, the game wasn't of no threat for Leeds. And that is huge amounts of positive. He'll probably take loads of confidence from that. And I actually hope the manager gives him a longer period of minutes come when we play Leeds away. I just think he needs to now start building his partnership and relationship with his fullback. Because that is important to defensively help your fullback out. We know that he put Malacia in trouble once. I hope he doesn't do that again. And he just needs to go from strength to strength and build a partnership with Wout and everybody else. But I'm very pleased.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kev, he played on the left. Interesting. When he came on the other game, he played as number 10. And then today he played on the left. We want him to play on the right. Erik ten Hag said he's preferred the left before. Were you impressed? I thought his relationship with Shaw was great, actually. I
was just going to say the exact same thing. You stole me thunder there.
Sorry.
But yeah, some of the link-up play with Luke Shaw, you can see that there is an understanding there between them two, which is great. It's something we spoke about before, innit? Having these little partnerships down the left-hand side. We've said the right-hand side's been a trouble at Manchester United, but that is because we had Dalot in, then we've had Wan-Bissaka back in, and it's constantly getting changed. So it would be very, very refreshing to see Sancho get back into this team, maybe get some understanding again with Luke Shaw down this left side. And yeah, took his goal really well, I thought. I mean, if you wanted to be highly critical, when I watched it back, I thought the keeper might have done better with it, but I'm not asked. It was a massive goal, and for any United fan who loves Sancho, you look at that and you think, this is his first kind of, what was it? Was it October when he kind of last played?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I know he's obviously been on previous this season or whatever, but to see him getting back into his groove, everybody knows what he's capable of, and the fact that he's versatile as well, left, right, this number 10. We need that. We need that Manchester United at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he needed a goal, especially to kind of kickstart, not because he needs to prove anything, but I think because it gives players confidence sometimes, and you want to see that confidence continue to rise. I mean, Sancho has been one of your favourites, Ricky. I really like him. I think there's a super player there. And for me, it's like having a new signing back. It's great to be able to bring him on. Are you excited to see how he keeps developing?
Absolutely love it. Yeah, the way he plays with his head up, the way he sees the short passes into the box as he's approaching the box, either to slip somebody in behind or whether to give it and go for the return. I just love watching him play. I think he's absolutely class. And if he plays every week, I think we'll get at least one goal a game.
The thing with Sancho is as well...
Don't get me started again, Ricky.
That's nearly 1.6.
I was going to say, the thing with Sancho is he's always on the move, isn't it?
Yeah,
Once that ball's out of his feet, he's spinning off, and he's making just them little movements, whereas some other players in them positions don't do that. The pass is done, static. Sancho is constantly bang, and that's where the goal comes from. Because he makes that run into the box, something opens up.
I mean, the fact is, if he had passed it to Luke Shaw and said, right, my job is done, Luke, you've got the left foot, Roberto Carlos it into the box, and we'll see what happens from there. But no, he let the ball go to Luke, and then he found the pocket of space.
It's intelligence.
With the ball came
Football
and landed
intelligence.
Right place, right time. And I'm very glad, actually.
Come on, Beth, share it with us.
The chat is just killing me off. Just some of the things they're saying is absolutely wild, but honestly, it's so funny. You can all read it when you get home.
Oh, well,
you can read it when you get
home.
Might not, actually. It's hilarious, honestly. But no, honestly, Jadon Sancho, I can't wait for him to be playing regular football again. And on that note, before we round up the show, we'll talk about quickly Leeds' next game, because it's right round the corner. We're playing at Elland Road, obviously a really tough place to go, and especially off the back of that result, we need to get a win, I think, 100%. But man of the matches so far, I mean, Ricky, you said Shaw, was it?
Without a doubt, he was absolutely outstanding.
Kev, we'll come to you.
Oh, God, best of a bad bunch. I don't know who the hell to go for. Do you know what? I'll actually give it Marcus Rashford.
For the goal. Faz?
For the goal.
Luke Shaw is a very good shout, and I think it's fair, but for me, it has to be Lisandro Martinez, because of the tackles that he made just made me think, my goodness, like, the attackers should be fearful of this guy. But I thought at times he was going to snap players in half the way he was tackling them. So yeah, it has to be Lisandro Martinez for me.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with you. Lisandro Martinez, his tackles were brilliant, and he's just such a tough defender. The fact he laid one on Bamford after he was getting the better of him a little bit as well was class. Someone just made a Fred man of the match shout in the chat, and I'm not even gonna say your name, because it's just. No. Rory C says, Kev makes great points, cool, calm, composed. He does. And Ari says, the weight of the ball when Sancho passes it is top tier. Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. Me and Ricky aren't actually annoyed at each other, everyone. We're just having a bit of a debate. You know what it is? I'm sure he'll be texting me a thread tonight that I should be reading through. He'll be putting a little Instagram up saying, Beth, you need to watch this later tonight. But
it's a shame we didn't go live before the show when I was
shame,
in the middle. Faz were in the middle, like the peacekeepers going, what's going on?
That was actually round 5. Round 1 to 4 has been already done before.
Anyway, let's move on to Leeds at Elland Road. I mean, only a few minutes left of the show, but I want to actually talk about who you'd play midfield and who you'd play as your front three. Ricky, I'll start with you first. Who would you play as your front three?
Sancho, Weghorst and Rashford.
Ooh, you're putting Rashford in there. You can all calm down now.
Is that why you were laughing all this time?
Yeah. I mean, he has some fans as well. But no, I think I'd like to see that front three, 100%. I think Sancho needs to play.
What people need to understand, anybody who's in the chat, they need to understand that if you are missing a given player, it doesn't mean that you have to play with 10 men. It doesn't mean you have to play with 10 men. If you're playing with 11 players and you play good football and pass the ball around, you will create some chances and somebody can score a goal. And when you're only scoring 1.6 goals a game, that can happen. If we played, I mean, all these players aren't fit. If we played with Eriksen and Casemiro in midfield for the rest of the game season, Bruno at number 10, Sancho on one wing, and say Palestri and Garnacho sharing games on the other wing, and Wout Weghorst at number 9, I would bet anybody any money we will average at least 1.6 goals a game. Doesn't matter that nobody's going to score 17 or 18, and it doesn't matter now that City have got a player scoring 25. They're not scoring more goals. If we had a different player, we would not be scoring less goals, or it'd be marginal. It's got to be a big difference for it to make a difference to me. Not marginal.
I have to say, Ricky, I'll take your point on. I'll listen to it. But if you're going out at the weekend, plays back every time he says 1.6, have a little drink. You'll be on your way by the time you get out.
I'm getting a T-shirt made up for the next one. 1.6 goals a game.
I mean, Ricky, we love you. We honestly do. And, you know, you have been proved right a few times before, so
I can't get proved right on this one because he's not going to... Well, I don't think he's going to go missing, is he? No. I'm just saying we'll still score goals if he's not there, but he isn't going to be not there.
100%. He's going to be there. Yeah. Faz, your midfield 3?
Well, it's Bruno, Sabitzer and Fred, isn't it? So
I mean, I would genuinely be tempted to start Lindelof after that.
I don't have any other option really. Lindelof, you may try it, but in an away game where our away results and our away run hasn't been the best, and Tanak's publicly said that we need to be taken.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, Faz.
She's not laughing at you.
I don't know what it is. I'm sure.
I was looking to read a super chat out before the end of the show, and it's just anyway. Go on.
Has it gone ballistic?
Faz is trying to rack his brain, saying, "What have I just said?"
I'm saying the point where we only do have them for it.
Yeah, our away run hasn't been the greatest, and Tanaga said we want to take our home kind of mentality on the road, and I'm guessing from that it would be Fred. You know what? Fred actually looked very disappointed today. He went over to give someone a shirt who was sat near me, and he looked. He
don't say he didn't take it off him. He said, "No, you can keep it."
He'll know himself. He'll
I think
be the
it was
first
some
person.
fellow Brazilians who he gave it to. But
he'll be the first person to know he had a shocker.
Yeah, he could see in his eyes that he wasn't happy, and that's what you need from players is take accountability. You know, Fred has had some great performances this season, and I still think it should be Fred because Ten Hag would probably rectify the mistakes that Fred has made, and probably Sabitzer would understand the game a little bit better, you know, in terms of Ten Hag football. And the likelihood of Leeds scoring a goal in the first minute again is very, very, very low. So again, take the adrenaline out of the game, control the game well. You have good players. You have players who are good on the ball. You have good ball-playing centre-backs, ball-carrying centre-backs. You have a really good goalkeeper who can stop shots. You should be all right. You have Marcus Rashford. You have Sancho now. Should be okay.
Just close the laptop.
Kev, lastly on you.
You have to share this now.
It's not one specific.
What is it?
It's not one specific
Because you've giggled
thing.
a few times.
It's not one specific thing. It's just multiple ones coming through, all saying just different wild stuff. But you can look through later, everyone. It's not. I can't say it on my channel.
I'm scared. I don't want to look.
It's been great though. I love the banter. I honestly do. Kev.
You know what? We strike. All of us. Don't say anything. Let the chat do its thing.
The hour is up. I want to give you one last say. Do you agree with Faz where it will be the same 3 in midfield, or would you be tempted to bring a Lindelof in?
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. I know we're not going back on what we say. Yes, we've criticised Fred this evening, but we're criticising him on one game, a game of football that we watched this evening. I agree with that. I think Ten Hag is a great manager. If anything, he'll live and learn by this. Yeah. Maybe he'll look at it and think, you know, if he needs to change the game, he might do it earlier. That's my one criticism of Ten Hag today. But we have, you know, we've drawn this game 2-2.
That was an away performance, in all honesty.
It was. It felt like that.
We've spoken a few times about Martinez having played that role, and I know Martinez is playing well at the back, but Lindelof's perfectly fine at the back. And I've already mentioned the fact that I like a right footer and a left footer.
No,
why
really?
Why not Lindelof? Why not Lindelof in Martinez's place, and why not Martinez in Fred's place, and then Sabitzer to the right?
I wouldn't be against it. I don't think we'll see Ten Hag do it because I think he loves Martinez there. It's centre back, but I definitely wouldn't be against it. I think it's a
Imagine Martinez
fair
in
shout.
midfield.
But to be fair to Fred, one last thing I'll say because I do feel like I've gone in on him a bit. I think it's because of how good he's been playing under Ten Hag. To see that complete drop off, it's a shock as well to everyone. I think as well. But we live and learn, and hopefully he can rectify it at Elland Road. And the whole team. It's not just we didn't lose this game because of Fred. We lost this game because the whole team didn't play well enough. And like Ricky said, Leeds were just good as well, and they came out in high spirits.
Don't discredit them.
Yeah.
Look, everyone, thank you so much. So many good super chats in today, and also so many good chats in general. I mean, you know, it's a funny day when you have to close the laptop to get away from it. But lastly, Rory C says, "Oh God, don't put it out there. Welbeck in the summer, Ricky. Who needs Kane or Osimhen?" Don't ask him twice because you know what his answer will be. But look, everyone, I know he loves Kane. But thank you everyone for getting your comments in down below and getting involved in the chat. It was a poor result for us in the end, 2-2, but it's great to break everything down and get we call it the therapy forum when stuff like this happens, and it certainly was that. And yeah, we might disagree, but we walk away from here and we come back and we do the same thing next week, and it all is good. It's what you need. You need different opinions, and hopefully on Sunday at Elland Road we can get the win and get back on track. But look, have a great night everyone. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.